The Reds have been hugely successful in the transfer market this summer, and after spending close to £300 million, their squad is almost complete. However, one issue that continues to rumble in the background is that of Konaté. With the Frenchman still yet to sign a new contract, negotiations continue as Liverpool are keen to have him around beyond 2026. But a breakthrough is still yet to be reached, and still looks a long way away. Real Madrid are still sniffing around, and that appears to be his most likely destination, although their latest decision means that his options are more limited than they were before. The Reds, of course, were keen to stop a situation like this from happening again. With Trent Alexander-Arnold's departure, something that should not be happening at Liverpool Football Club, history appears to be repeating itself. Though, and despite Liverpool having 3 options for the Frenchman, they are now down to 2. They could either ensure he signs a new contract, let him leave on a free transfer, or sell him this summer for a cut price, although the latter is now off the table. According to Defensa Central. They report that Madrid's sporting directors have informed Xabi Alonso that no more signings will be made before the window slams shut, meaning there is no chance Konaté moves in the next 2 weeks or so, and with Madrid not renewing Antonio Rudiger or David Alaba's contracts, with both expiring next summer, all the signs point to Ibu departing as a free agent. There's still plenty of time as players cannot negotiate with other clubs until they have 6 months left on their current deal. But with negotiations at a stalemate, it is not looking good. Liverpool need to get Ibrahima Konaté to sign a new deal. All the indications are that Konaté is willing to sign a new contract at Anfield if the terms are fair, something he clearly feels is not the case as things stand. With that said, Liverpool need to try and find a breakthrough, as he is one of the best defenders around on his day, and at just 26, he still has plenty of time left to grow. As well as this, Madrid's interest is very unlikely to waver, meaning they would likely still come in with an offer for the Frenchman, potentially giving the Reds a hefty reward for tying him down. This does not look like a situation that will be resolved in the coming days or even weeks. But as long as Liverpool come to a resolution, whether that be positive or negative, by January, then they can understand what their next steps need to be. Liverpool still have plenty of business yet to do, and they have some big decisions to make. Regarding their fringe players, the Reds have been busy so far this summer, and with less than 2 weeks to go until the deadline, they are set for a manic ending to the window. A few new players could still arrive, but the main focus will be on selling bit-part players or sending youngsters out on loan to give them a chance to prove themselves. However, there is one star in particular who has been linked with a temporary move away over the past few months, but reports suggest that this could now turn into a permanent one. Liverpool are willing to sell Lewis Koumas. Liverpool's academy has been one of the best in the business for quite some time, and the amount of money they generate through selling some of these players is simply staggering. This summer has seen them say goodbye to some young stars, and they look like they are willing to let even more go, both on loan and permanently. Lewis Koumas is one player who has looked destined for the exit all summer, although a return in 6 to 12 months' time was always the plan. Until now, that is. According to the Liverpool Echo, the Reds are now willing to sell the 19-year-old permanently, with Birmingham and Wrexham fruit runners for his signature. In regard to how much they would want, Liverpool see the sale of Bobby Clark, who they sold for £10 million, as their benchmark. And as they believe Koumas is more advanced than the Englishman in terms of his development, the Championship sides will have to pay in excess of that. Sheffield United, Norwich, Preston, and Hull are also showing interest in the teenager, although they would all likely be unwilling to pay what Liverpool are asking for, as seen this summer. Liverpool are willing to sell some of their stars, but are erring on the side of caution as they know their potential. Hence why they have included a buyback clause in most of their contracts. Eerily Koumas and Ben Doak both have them, while the Reds would ideally want one for Harvey Elliott should he be sold, and Koumas should be no different, and this proves just how much potential he has, with his under-21s manager Rob Page labeling him as exceptional. Rio Ngumoha is the prime example that there are chances, though so a few good seasons elsewhere, and Koumas might just be ready to come back and make a real name for himself at Anfield. Liverpool's drawn-out move for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi has taken a huge step in the right direction. According to reports with BBC Sport journalist Sami Mokbel, believing that a deal is more likely to be completed than now before the deadline slams shut in just under 2 weeks. Guehi has been the subject of interest from Premier League clubs for quite a while. Having excelled for England at Euro 2024 under Gareth Southgate last summer, before writing himself into Palace history as the first-ever captain to win a major trophy at the club after defeating Manchester City in the FA Cup final back in May, thus qualifying for European football as a result. However, his superstar success means that the top-flight's big boys have come knocking, and Liverpool, in particular, have shown an interest. With that in mind, Mokbel has stated that Guehi's situation is similar to teammate Ibrahima Konaté's potential move to Tottenham Hotspur, in that talks should accelerate in the coming days, and to add fuel to the fire, the esteemed reporter has stated that it's more likely than not that a deal will be done before the window closes, with Arne Slot keen to add to his squad. He said on Liverpool's BBC blog, Liverpool and Crystal Palace have held discussions about a possible £35 million deal for Guehi to go to Anfield before the transfer deadline. There is still no agreement, but those talks should accelerate in the next few days, but the success of that deal hinges on whether the chairman, Steve Parish, sees Liverpool's deal and their valuation of the player as enough to let their captain go. It may be that Parish decides that the deal isn't enough, and the fee isn't enough, and it may be more valuable for him to stay until the end of the season and the 12 months until his contract runs out than it would actually to recoup the money. There's still a lot to get done in that deal, but there are legs in it, and if I were a betting man, then I'd put money on that deal to get done before the transfer window closes. Liverpool have Virgil van Dijk as the starting centre-back in their ranks, though contract rebel Ibrahima Konaté has seen his Anfield future enter limbo mode in recent months, amid reports that he could move to Real Madrid on a free transfer next summer, and despite the addition of young centre-back Giovanni Leone from Parma earlier this window, the sale of Lewis Koumas means that there is a gap for a homegrown centre-back to come into their ranks, with Guehi being earmarked. Ibrahima Konaté's exit options narrow as Real Madrid make big decision. Ibrahima Konaté's contract situation is still up in the air, and Liverpool are desperate to keep hold of him.